Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Predaplant deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one because of Legendary Duelist 5. Now you guys saw what I pulled in my Legendary Duelist box, and if you didn't, you should definitely go check those out. I did open up 2 boxes of Legendary Duelist 5, Immortal Destiny on the channel, and got some really decent pulls, to be honest with you guys, out of the box to be able to play Predaplant. So Predaplants are a really fun deck that's basically focused around fusion summoning out some really awesome monsters, and this deck got a really big boost with the new Predaplant fusion monster. This card is super cool, and without further ado guys, let's get straight on this. So before we do guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and let's get straight on into this. So first off, you've got to be playing 3 copies of Predaplant Ortho Scorpio. Scorpio is probably one of the best cards in the entire deck. So basically what this card does is if this card is normal or special summon, you get to send a monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon a Predaplant monster from your deck, except another copy of itself. So it just special summons any Predaplant monster, which is absolutely crazy because the whole deck is kind of like one of those, it's the sky's the limit, because you have so many Predaplant monsters in the deck to be able to special summon with this ability. Then we play 3 copies of Predaplant Sundew. Predaplant Sundew is basically like walking polymerization. Monsters with Predaplant counters that you use as fusion materials are treated as dark, and during your main phase, you can fusion summon a dark fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters on either side of the field. Using monsters on the field and monsters from your hand's field, or monsters with a Preda counter your opponent controls. So if they have Preda counters on them, you can use them as materials, and we play stuff in the deck that gives our opponent Preda counters, which is really important to the deck. Then I play 3 of the level 1 Predaplant monster. Basically, this one is when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if it battles this monster, you can destroy that monster, which is pretty cool. So it instantly destroys whatever it battles, which is a super cool effect. And if this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card on the field is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add a Preda card from your deck to your hand, which is really important because once it's summoned, it's either going to be destroyed by battle and your opponent's going to sacrifice a monster with it, or you're going to use it as a material for fusion summoning so you can get out some other Preda cards like your big time new Preda fusion monster or Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, one of the 2. So this card's really pivotal to the strategy. Then I play 2 copies of Darling Cobra. In this deck, it's pretty safe to play Darling Cobra at 2 because of the fact that this card is so versatile in the deck. Darling Cobra is essentially, if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, you can add a polymerization or a normal fusion spell or a fusion spell card from your deck to your hand, which we play a lot of fusion spells in the deck to be able to search off of your Darling Cobra. Then I play 2 copies of the Spinno, Predaplant Spinno. This card's pretty good too, because what it basically does is when it's normal summon, if it's normal or special summon, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and place a Preda counter on it. And if something that's really interesting about the Preda counters is if a level 2 or higher monster has a Preda counter on it, it becomes level 1 and its effects are negated, which is pretty cool as well. And after damage calculation, if this card battle a monster with a Preda counter that's lower than its level, you can special summon a Predaplant monster from your deck. So that's why I play it as a 2 of. I really find that this card is a good 2 of. For the 1 of Predaplant monsters, I play 1 copy of Hydra. I really like the 1 of Hydra because you can special summon it from your hand by tributing a monster on either side of the field that has a Preda counter on it. And then you can only special summon it once per turn this way, and during either player's turn, if this card is on the field or in the graveyard, you can banish one of their Preda card, and then target them face-up monster on the field and loses 500 attack. Which is good and bad. Like, you don't really need that all that much. But the special summoning by tributing something, it turns it pretty much into a kaiju. I play 1 of the Predaplant Ogre, or the Pine Cone. I just call it the Pine Cone. Basically, you can special summon this card by tributing 1 opponent's monster with a Preda counter on it, and if it's sent to the graveyard, from the field to the graveyard, you can place a Preda counter on each face-up monster your opponent controls, and if you do, any of those monsters that are level 2 become level 1, and also they have, as long as they have Preda counters. So it doesn't negate their effects, but it does put Preda counters on all of their monsters, which is really pivotal to the deck. And then I play 1 of the new level 8 Predaplant monsters, which is really good, actually. If your opponent controls a monster with a Preda counter on it, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can target a Dark Dragon or Dark Plant monster in your grave and special summon it, which is pretty good too, because you need that extra, like, special summon ability. Then I play 3 copies of Lone Fire. Lone Fire is really good for the deck because everything's plants, and you distribute it to special summon any Predaplant monster you want, which is usually going to be your Orthoscorpio, which is your combo starter. And then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom as well. Ash Blossom is really pivotal to the deck because you need the Ash Blossoms to be able to stop your opponent from doing all sorts of shenanigans. So this is basically the lineup for the deck. For monsters, let's get into the spells, guys. So for the spells, we're going to be playing some really interesting stuff in here. So we're going to be playing 3 copies of Called by the Grave because you need the 3 Called by the Grave to stop your opponent from doing all sorts of, hand traps and stuff. You can get away with 3 Super Polys in this deck, which is absolutely crazy that this card is still at 3 after the recent October ban list. 1 copy of Ultra Polymerization. Ultra Polymerization is super good in the deck because you pay 2,000 life points to fusion summon a monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion material, and neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. Then you can banish this card from your grave, then target 1 fusion monster that was fusion summoned with this card effect, and special summon all the materials back, which is really good, but they have their effects negated, which is not that big of a deal anyways because I just want to get them back on the field. Then we play 2 copies of Polymerization because Polymerization is really easy to get to in the deck and get it back out of the graveyard. And plus you already play 3 Super Polys in a Ultra Polymerization. I play 1 copy of Predaprime Fusion. Predaprime Fusion is really good in the deck. Predaprime Fusion is basically like, a miracle, I guess. If a Predaplant monster on the field is fusion summoned, you can target a dark fusion monster in your extra deck using materials from either field as materials, including 2 dark monsters on the field you control, and then you can fusion summon. It's really good as a quick play. It's kind of like a, hey, surprise kind of effect that kind of catches your opponent off guard. Then I play Predapruning. Predapruning is basically like Monster Reborn for Predaplants. You get to target a Predaplant monster in your graveyard and special summon an equivalent with this card. Predaponics is kind of like another Monster Reborn. You get to special summon a level 4 or lower Predaplant monster from your hand or grave, but it has its effects negated. And then once per turn during your stand phase, you pay 800 life or destroy this card. I play double Predaplast. Predaplast is really good in the deck too because it reveal any number of Preda cards in your hand and then target that number of monsters your opponent controls and place Preda counters on each of those. Any of those monsters that are level 2 or higher become level 1, and as long as they have Predator counters on them. And if a Predaplant monster would be destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from your grave instead. So it protects your Predaplants and gives Predator counters. Then we play 3, the really newish card, and then it's 3 copies of Predapractice. Predapractice is really interesting for the deck because you get to special summon a Predaplant monster from your hand, and then add a Preda card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Predapractice. Also, for the rest of the turn, you can't resolve, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters, which is not that big of a deal because usually we're going to just special summon what we need to begin with and not worry about that. And then I play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness because Allure of Darkness is our big draw power of the deck, and you absolutely need 3 copies of Allure of Darkness because the only thing that we don't play that's dark is the Lone Fires and the Ash Blossoms, which are fire. So that's it for the spells and the main deck, guys. We don't play any traps in the deck. I don't play Predaplanting. You can play Predaplanting in here, which is the other new Predaplant card. I'm not a big fan of it. It's okay, but it's not really crazy. So let's get into the extra deck, guys. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a lot of fusions. So we play 2 copies of the new Predaplant card, which is the new Predaplant Fusion monster. It's really, really, really good. It has the ability that it gains attack equal to the original attack of all monsters on the field with Preda counters on it, and you can use each of the following effects of it once per turn. When your opponent special summons a monster from their extra deck while you control this Fusion Summon card, quick effect, you can negate the summon and if you do, destroy it. You want to make this card as quickly as you can, and then if a card your opponent controls with a Preda counters, if your opponent controls a monster with a Preda counters on it, you can special summon this card from your graveyard in defense. But if you do, you can't activate the first effect of it anymore. Then we play 2 copies of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is really good and kind of like the main staple summon in this deck, and that's why I have the mat out and everything. I really need to do it like this. I play both artworks of it because I just think it's really cool to play both artworks of it. You really only need to. If it's fusion summon, you can make its gain attack equal to the one special summon monster your opponent controls until the end phase of the turn. Then once per turn, you can target a level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls, and until the end phase of this turn, this card's name becomes that monster, and original effect is replaced with that monster. And if the fusion summon card is destroyed you can destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls, which is really, really powerful. I play 1 copy of Greedy Venom because you only ever going to summon it like 1 time in the deck ever. So you only play it at 1 because you're only going to summon it once. I play 1 copy of Predaplant Dragostapelia. Dragostapelia is a good one-of because you're only again going to ever probably summon it once because it requires a fusion monster and a dark monster to summon it. 2 Chimera Afflasia. Chimera Afflasia is really good in the deck too because this card just searches polymerization and stuff like that. Infusion spells from your deck to your hand if it's in the graveyard, which is really good. 1 copy of Mud Dragon because Mud Dragon is a good super poly target. Boral Sword because you can OTK your opponent with it. Aromatherapy Jasmine because it's, a generic link monster for plant monsters. Wee-Witch because Wee-Witch boosts up all of my Predaplant monsters. Alamirage because you can make it really, really, really easily in the deck by normal summoning something that you don't need. Like, if you want to summon, like, the Sundew the first turn, it has 600 attack, and you can summon it. If you want to summon this, you can summon this. If you have multiples of these, and summon Alamirage, and stuff like that. Like, it's a really good generic summon that you can just get out really easily. Then I play 1 Linkuriboh just because it's good for level 1s. And then I play a Trishula as well. Now the weird thing about Trishula is it's really easy to get Trishula out in this deck because all you have to do is later in the game have this in your hand and a monster with a Predacounter on it. This card on the field or in your hand or a Sundew. And that's 9 right there. This is your way to get to your Trishula. Now, sometimes you might not want to go for Trishula. You might want to use the Sundew to go with this and go this route, or you might want to go Trishula, but it's just another option in there. So that's pretty much it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's super, super fun to play around with Predaplants. I highly recommend that you guys give this deck a try. It's relatively budget, to be honest with you. I think the most expensive card in the entire deck, besides Boral Sword and Alamirage being 15 at the moment, is this, and it's like $8. But everything in the main deck is pretty cheap, except maybe, I think even Super Poly now is pretty cheap because of Dual Devastators. So anyways, guys, definitely tell me what you think of the video down in the comments down below. Tell me what you think of this deck profile. I'm so excited to get to 12,000 subscribers, guys. I cannot believe we got all the way to 12,000, and we just keep growing like in leaps and bounds. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, become part of the notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.